With our current weather conditions, it takes a real expert to create landscape that'll thrive. Riedel's Garden Center has the staff with the expertise of water requirements for plants, lawns, and landscapes that'll stand up to our changing weather conditions. With 25 years of hands-on experience, owner Darren Riedel will customize a landscape design and irrigation system to meet your expectations and our climate. It's recommended to protect your lawn using Fertilome products available at Riedel's Garden Center, an authorized dealer. Call or stop by Riedel's Garden Center today.
Welcome to the Green and Growing Show. I'm Pat Tebow, Master Gardener here in Ellis County. Today we have with us Dr. J.P. Michaud. He is the Regional Entomologist for K-State. And today's topic, grubs. Dr. Michaud, would you tell us what the homeowner needs to know about grubs?
Well, annual white grubs are the larvae of scarab beetles. So these are the May and June beetles you'll see buzzing around your lights, usually late May and June. They have one generation per year. So during those months, the adults lay their eggs in the soil. And if you have a patch of larvae developing, they can do serious damage to the roots. So they feed on the roots. If you have enough of them, you can have a whole patch of turf turning brown. Now, I said one generation a year, so the larvae do most of their feeding through the rest of the summer and remain dormant through the winter. And so the larvae that you see in the picture here that we're going to show you is in fact from last year, and they pretty well finished feeding. But of course everything's really late this year with our cold spring, so I was able to find one that hadn't yet pupated. Management. Well, we're dealing with a complex of 6 different species of masked chafer. So they're the little brown June beetles that you'll see buzzing around your lights quite frequently in June. And they're rather difficult to control because they're in the soil. And just because you've had one patch of your turf killed in one year, you know, the next, those emergent adults may not necessarily lay their eggs in that same area. But you can protect that turf with a treatment of contact or systemic insecticide. So you can go to Home Depot or Walmart and find a number of compounds and products that you can use in both of those categories. So the contact insecticides like Sevin or Carbaryl are going to be a lot cheaper. Those you want to apply usually between about August 10th and August 20th. Because what you're targeting are this year's larvae. You want to wait until the eggs hatch and they start to grow and feed. If you're using systemic materials, it's going to be a fair bit more expensive. And if you want to protect your whole lawn, it can get quite pricey. Because as I said, just because you've had one patch affected this year doesn't mean it's going to be the same patch next year. The systemic materials like active ingredients chlorantraniliprole or imidacloprid will be the active ingredients. Those can be applied much earlier in the season. They're systemic, which means they're taken up by the plants, and they can actually have activity against the adults when they go into the soil to lay their eggs. And but they're going to be a fair bit more expensive. So they can be applied actually in earlier in June. Whichever way you go, the important thing to remember is water well the area of application, both before and after the application. The reason for that is the before watering is going to bring the larvae closer to the surface, to the root zone, where they're more likely to come in contact with the insecticide. The watering after application is going to move the insecticide down into the soil and make it come into contact with those larvae. And otherwise, if it sits on top of the ground, it's just going to break up very quickly in response to the sunlight and weathering. So you have to wait 9 to 10 days really to evaluate the efficacy of that treatment. Those larvae are not going to die right away, even with contact materials. And as I say, it can be quite difficult to control or quite expensive to control a larger lawn. On a smaller lawn, you might want to treat the whole thing if you've been having problems, recurrent problems, year to year.
With our current weather conditions, it takes a real expert to create landscape that'll thrive. Riedel's Garden Center has the staff with the expertise of water requirements for plants, lawns, and landscapes that'll stand up to our changing weather conditions. With 25 years of hands-on experience, owner Darren Riedel will customize a landscape design and irrigation system to meet your expectations and our climate. It's recommended to protect your lawn using Fertilome products available at Riedel's Garden Center, an authorized dealer. Call or stop by Riedel's Garden Center today.